I am so sick of hearing people saying that, um, you know, men should be allowed in our bathrooms, um, specifically, obviously, trans women. And then specifically from spaces, I'm sick of hearing people saying that bathrooms don't matter, both from men and women. Irish, on you go, mate.
I appreciate you. I won't take up much of your time. I don't want my wife using a public toilet, then coming home and bringing whatever it is. You don't know what other people. You don't know if these men are gay and in the community that they could be spreading all sorts of diseases between themselves. You don't know what's coming out of them. You don't know what they carried. You don't know if they have blood on them. Would a little girl have to? It's just not applicable. There's so many questions that I've got, and I just can't see where their ideology even kicked off. Where these people even got the platform for this? It's sick. It's demented. It's deranged.
Well, Irish, see all these questions that you have, you're in the perfect space because Isla Mack, our co-host, is actually a specialist on all that jazz or jizz that you're talking about. So, honestly, she can fucking school you if you've got any questions. She would let you know for
That
sure.
basically is my question. My question is how would someone, a woman, i.e., her child, little girl, or my little girl, um, why would it even be come to a situation where they're put under that sort of pressure and put under that sort of
I mean, I'm with you on a lot of it. Right up to the homophobia part. I wasn't. You lost me at that part. Trans rights activists like to get us onto toilets because there is slightly, they don't want to get us onto the big policy arguments because it's a bit more messy down in the kind of, and I don't mean that in a literal sense, I mean more in a metaphorical sense, down at the toilet end of the argument.
I know what you're saying, Isla, as soon as, like, you said the gay thing, right? So I know what you're saying about the homophobia kind of thing. Like, I was with you till the homophobia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I get the homophobia thing, but I think there have been a lot of conversations recently as well about, like gay men. And we know that, for instance, when monkeypox or whatever it was out, like there's a higher risk with gay men. Um, so I don't want to, well, I just could probably speak for yourself now that he's back, but I'm just saying it did sound homophobic, but I think I know what he means where, because what Irish was saying the other day in a space was that what if, see these men that are coming into our women's spaces and they're taking these videos and they're putting them on Pornhub and they're masturbating all over our toilets and sticking things up their arse, right? We've seen this and we keep talking about it and trying to let people know that, this is happening. And so Irish was kind of asking me the other day, like, well, what if one of these guys has like done that, and spunked all over the fucking seat, and my daughter goes in, can she catch a disease? Um, and I think maybe because the gay cohort and things like that are, when it comes to men coming into the toilets, it's obviously usually going to be.
No, I understand. I
Do you know what I
understand where
mean?
you're going with it now. So removing it from the homosexuality side, because I think that that's a bit of a red herring and isn't actually relevant, but just from a completely clinical microbiological perspective, there is a school of thought. Now, that's probably not going to happen, but technically that is, feasible from an STI point of view, clear as well, from toilet seats. However, you're just as likely to pick that up from anyone doing anything grim, obviously, in public toilets.
It seems to me we need to, I don't know whether we need to, but there should be a definition of like, what are trans women, men, trans identifying men? Like, what are they? Because there are people who are genuinely suffering from gender dysphoria. What do we do about those people? What do we do? And perhaps this is a conversation for the future once we get the men out of our bathroom, but what do we do about those people who are genuinely suffering from gender dysphoria and are going through that transition? Because to send those people to the male bathroom? That was just my question. I'm just curious. I'm trying to figure out what my thoughts and what my position is on this. So I'm really interested in this conversation. Thank you.
So, Pippi, obviously, you can completely disagree with everything, and I'm just going to give you my opinion, right? But what I'm going to say to you is I disagree with pretty much everything that you said. I don't believe in gender dysphoria. I don't believe in any of the people that you mentioned. They all fall down, like every single young person. Bearing in mind, there's like if you look at the young ones, you know, the teenagers turning up, every single one of them's got, you know, a family death, a serious amount of conflict from divorce, or they've been sexually assaulted, or they're on the spectrum, or, you know, they're from care, or they're autistic. None of them are just rocking up for, you know, with just the fact that they've got an obsession with their genitals or their breasts. They're all got high levels of sensory issues, and, you know, they're binding and stuff because they're essentially, most of them are autistic, to be frank. But, you know.
Do you know, I'm just going to say something quickly before I let Maureen go, right? But I find it really strange that all these men, it's usually the men who claim to be women, right? They're sitting on spaces and telling us all, right, that they've been raped by women and they've been sexually assaulted by women, and women are so mean, right? And it always is the
Yeah,
men, right, who want to get into the women's bathrooms. And I'm
yeah,
thinking to myself, well,
yeah.
if you're saying that women are more of a risk to you because you've been sexually assaulted by women, then you
Right.
should be wanting to be as far away from fucking women
Exactly.
as you possibly could.
Exactly.
That's the thing that pisses me off the most as well. It's these men that think they're women, right, that are constantly fighting to get into the women's toilets. And I constantly say, fuck you, I'm talking about the children, right? So I'm not saying I don't care about the adult women like myself. I'm saying I don't care whatever excuse you can come up with, right? Or whatever fucking shit you can come up with. There is no excuse for you to be in a toilet with fucking children, right?
I agree with everything that you've all said, apart from, is it Pippi that said about it was okay if they were kind of real transvestite and had real problems? Well, it's not okay.
Can I be a little nitpicking bitch? I would like to make a little distinction here. I do believe that absolutely the heterosexual autogynephiles are predatory, and also the straight men that are just assuming the trans identity to get in are definitely predatory. But when it comes to the homosexuals, they're merely parasitical.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Tash, I can back you up on that because I've seen it. I've done the same thing you did. I tried to be friends with them, tried to understand, but we're different. We're not AGPs. We're gay transsexuals, and then they're the most vicious fuckers. Like they literally hate women.
Yeah, I really do believe so. I mean, to be honest with you now, I don't want to say too much, but I honestly believe that there's a huge contingent of generally gay men that couldn't give two fucks about women. I mean, they're literally using our image to just attract more men. They couldn't give two fucks about us, about our safety or anything like that. We cannot appeal to their conscience.
I think I think it's a very dangerous territory. Dangerous territory. I'm sorry. I think it's a really difficult one there because you do end up straying into a kind of, you know, what is homophobia, and dangerous territory. What is the territory of you know, breaking up the, you know, what does transsexualism and the boundary issue comprise? Dangerous territory. I think it's a dangerous issue.
Oh, now I stepped into it.
I do see a lot of gay men behaving in a way that is subconsciously misogynistic, and in their sort of sexual behaviors, that it goes like it goes really deep into gay culture and gay sex life. So I won't bore you with the details. Some gay men would see themselves as just like, you know, in a sissy poem, just as a fuck hole. And there's a lot of misogyny. I don't think it's predatory towards women. I think it's just the position that they want to take. I think a lot of them end up later to, you know, sort of having thoughts of being transsexual or something. A lot of them don't.
But like I went a little bit further, and I think that's what Ayla took, you know, kind of positioned herself against a little bit, because yes, I understand why. Because I also said that there is a contingent of gay men that really couldn't give two fucks about women in general.
I know a lot of guys who went into porn, gay guys who went into porn, and you're absolutely right. It's a bit weird with gay guys, because gay men go into porn because it's just another opportunity to have a good fuck, and that's all it is. Interestingly enough, the men who get, well, so to speak, exploited in a way in gay porn are heterosexual men who go there and just to be, you know, gay for pay. So they do a movie and they get exploited by some, you know, rich producer who pay them a lot of money to you know, to get their cock sucked or ass fucked. So yeah, but yeah, heterosexual men getting screwed over literally in gay porn, whereas gay men just go for it, you know, for a jolly.
Why can they not stop this on social media? Like, why can't they?
Because it's money, Star. It's all money. You know,
Yeah,
there's no better
exactly.
money
So
than porn.
they can, but they won't.
Well, yeah. And, you know, the only way that you could possibly stop children from going into porn is to go back to the good old times where parents actually were responsible for their children.
And Judith Butler, thank you for coming in for your comments about the misogyny and gay culture. I really appreciate that. But even like saying, you know, that men just go there for a good fuck, I don't know. It just, I that disturbs me. I find that really troubling, that that's entertainment to watch other people. You know, and maybe that's just me personally, but there just seems to me something kind of fundamentally or viscerally wrong about seeing entertainment in that. So, not to offend anybody, but that's just how I feel personally as a woman. But and then the other thing I did want to say is, Isla, I know that you know, when we criticize some of the things that we're seeing in gay culture, I think there is the fear of being, you know, being homophobic. Or is this homophobic? Are we being you know, mean to gay men? There is a lot of degradation and dehumanization of women in gay male culture that I think we should be able to talk about. I don't think we should be afraid to talk about misogyny wherever it comes from. You know, I don't think we should be in a space, you know, in a headspace where no, we can't criticize gay men because that's homophobic. Well, if there's something that's misogynistic, if there is something that is harmful, if there's an ideology or a behavior that is harmful to women, that is harming women or anyone, I think it's valid to be able to talk about that.
I would just say I appreciate you know, what you're saying, Rose, and I would just say I'm not naive to this because my background is actually in the HIV field, so I've actually spent my life with gay men and within the gay community.
And
So,
Princess Diana, sorry for
it's
fucking.
not that I'm naive to it. It's just that, and obviously, you know, I spend a lot of time with them now. I just think, you know, when I've got a public role and I'm, you know, showing my face and I'm having public arguments with people, I just find it easier to. There's some arguments are more difficult than others to have. Sometimes dangerous territory. You know, I just, you know, I can't even say it because I just think sometimes it's just, I know that I'm going to get in trouble for some things, and sometimes I am going to choose the battles that I want to have.